The request of the Indian fans has finally been granted as Caitlyn Clark has changed her plans for the European League, returned to America, and decided to play in the WNBA once more. However, it should be noted that the WNBA has a toxic culture and has been a hot mess with Caitlyn throughout the season, while Europe was essentially giving her the royal treatment, ready to put a crown on her head and make her the highest-paid female in the league.
From the sounds of this interview, it seems like she's probably going to make more money overseas in EuroLeague than she did during this WNBA season.
However, WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert acknowledged the error and personally apologized to Caitlyn, denouncing the racism and promising to make amends because, let's face it, the WNBA has suffered without Caitlyn Clark and now cannot afford to lose her permanently. What is the WNBA planning now? And will they truly follow through on their commitments? How specifically did they persuade her to stay after all that drama?
Apology is warranted to Caitlyn Clark, or they just need to.
Now, when's the last time you heard of a sports commissioner getting all vulnerable and apologizing to a player? Yeah, never. And let's be real, Caitlyn was about to peace out, take the bag, and become the international face of basketball. So for the commissioner to go fully failed you mode, that's next level desperation. This wasn't just some PR move they cooked up in a boardroom. No, this was personal. The commissioner came forward, admitted that the WNBA had let Caitlyn down in a huge way, like letting dirty politics and straight-up racist behavior slide on and off the court, the league turning a blind eye. Yeah, that was why Caitlyn had one foot out the door, passport in hand. So then Cathy Engelbert took to social media late last night, clarifying in part. She said, quote, "There is absolutely no place for hate or racism of any kind in the WNBA or anywhere else." But suddenly the WNBA decides to own up to their mess, and the world is like, wait, what just happened? Because let's be real, the WNBA isn't exactly known for handling their drama. Well, they've got a reputation for sweeping stuff under the rug, hoping it all goes away. So when they come out and say, yeah, we failed Caitlyn, that's not just surprising, it's full-on wild. It's like they finally realized, oh no, we didn't just lose a player, we lost the player. Caitlyn wasn't just their star, she was the reason people even tuned in. And without her, ticket sales tanked, viewership nosedived, and the whole league was on the verge of flatlining. The WNBA didn't just mess up, they were staring at their own downfall. And Caitlyn was the key to keeping the ship afloat.
But the WNBA has been a mess this year. It has been so unprofessional, and they need to step it up, and they need to step it up quick.
By declining that lovely European gig, she's saying, yeah, you messed up, but now you're going to fix it. This isn't just about her either. She's making the entire league take a serious look in the mirror and begin addressing the issues they've been ignoring. Her apology wasn't merely for show. It was a wake-up call to the WNBA and the fans, who are promising that things will change and that Caitlyn is leading the charge, saying she will now try to adjust after the WNBA's previous behavior. If the WNBA doesn't correct their act, they'll lose much more than just Caitlyn the next time.
I think it'll definitely be a little bit of an adjustment period for myself, not really.
Now that Caitlyn is back, but on her terms, the WNBA knows they can't afford to mess this up again. With Caitlyn back, they're not just getting their star back, they're getting a chance to rewrite their entire story. This isn't just about basketball anymore. It's about fixing what's broken, and Caitlyn is the one holding all the cards. It's going to be the story that everyone talks about for years, and I'm telling you right now, if the WNBA can get away with it, what will happen next is one of the biggest robberies. The investigation into the league's internal problems didn't just turn up a few bad apples. Oh no, this was a full-on scandal. It turns out that Caitlyn had been dealing with all sorts of garbage on and off the court. And who are the stars of this horror show? Naturally, you had to know that Alyssa Thomas and Angel Reese's names would surface. These two had reportedly been calling names, making racial remarks, committing hard fouls, bullying, and more. The league decided to overlook it because, after all, Caitlyn versus Angel would boost ratings. Warning, spoiler alert, it wasn't.
Try to implant racism and imply that everyone is racist because they don't agree with them. And they try to put that into everything that they're doing. By then responding and saying, if you don't agree with me, you're racist.
Caitlyn had been quietly putting up with this nonsense for months in the hopes that someone would step in. But the WNBA pretty much turned a blind eye, acting as though it was just a friendly rivalry. However, when Caitlyn finally had enough and said, I'm out of here, The league realized they had just made the biggest mistake of their lives because Caitlyn wasn't just a superstar. She was the superstar, and when she left, the money went with her ticket sales, viewership crashed, sponsors, and let's not even begin. What did the WNBA do? They went from, everything is fine, to we're so sorry, Caitlyn, please come back. In record time, the commissioner, Kathy Angelbert, had to step in and apologize publicly. Yes, they went from downplaying things to completely groveling in front of Caitlyn and the fans, which isn't something the WNBA does, believe me. This was unheard of, and it was an obvious indication that the league was in dire straits and knew they were in danger.
They really felt like it was a missed opportunity from Kathy Engelbert to really address and say, we don't support this sort of behavior in our league. And Breanna Stewart was another player who, after her game yesterday, came out and really echoed those sentiments and said that as much as the players love this sort of influx of fans that have come from this rivalry, at a certain point, enough is enough, and that's what they really hoped.
Caitlyn wasn't waiting for an apology during all of this chaos, though. Instead, Europe approached her with a deal that would have made her the highest-paid female player in history. We're talking about over $10 million annually, folks. That's life-altering money that the WNBA couldn't touch wrong in a move no one saw coming. In some ways, the WNBA outbid Europe. Yes, you did read correctly. The league, which is infamous for paying shamefully low salaries, discovered a huge sum of money to throw to Caitlyn out of the blue. They felt they had no other option since without her, the league would have collapsed. In addition to being the WNBA spokesperson, Caitlyn is the league's lifeline, and they cannot afford to make a mistake again. The league's whole future rests on Caitlyn's shoulders now that she is back on her terms, and you can be sure they are aware of this. The WNBA will lose much more than only Caitlyn the next time if they don't improve their performance now.
Fever are going to be over 200,000 higher than the next highest total attendance in league history. Clarkonomics, my friend, Clarkonomics.
Because it's not even subtle, the WNBA's ticket sales are at an all-time low when Caitlyn Clark leaves the league, and the entire league begins to collapse faster than a broken lift. Viewership of Crash and Burn was cut in half during Caitlyn's rookie season in 2024. She wasn't just playing basketball, she was essentially running the entire organization. Yes, that wasn't just impressive, it was historic. She dragged the WNBA to heights they hadn't even imagined in decades, with her games drawing an absurd 1.8 million viewers on average. Let me reiterate that 1.8 million viewers. The WNBA hadn't seen numbers like that since they invented the 3-0 line.
That since the start of the regular season, sales of WNBA merchandise are up over 500% versus the same period last year, with fan gear sales over the first half of the season at the highest in league history. Player-specific merchandise, including jerseys and t-shirts, have seen a staggering 1,000% increase in sales. Additionally, sales of league-specific merchandise like the popular orange WNBA hoodie are also up 200%. The top-selling WNBA player merch, Caitlyn Clark, #1 in jersey sales.
The situation was completely different when Caitlyn was on the court. The Fever's games became the most popular tickets in town, and we're not just talking about packing the stands with people. Her jersey sales were over the roof. If you wanted to see her perform, good luck obtaining a seat. Every game was sold out. The WNBA was essentially making money because to Caitlyn Clark, but as soon as she left, everything stopped selling items. The arenas that had been packed with yelling fans started to seem like ghost towns, and nobody was rushing to get tickets.
Since Caitlyn Clark was eliminated from the playoffs, WNBA ratings have declined 50%. They have lost half of their audience in less than a week, and it's only going to get worse from here.
However, as soon as she even suggested that she could be departing, it was as if someone pressed the emergency stop button on the hype train, causing it to spectacularly collapse. Fans left the league more quickly than people leaving a bad movie. Let's discuss the details. The Fever's 2024 playoff opener attracted 2.5 million viewers, which was essentially unprecedented for the WNBA. After Caitlyn's exit, the following round of games barely made half of that total, and even the semifinals, which are meant to be the games that draw everyone in, saw a sharp decline in viewership from 1.8 million to just 64,000. It seemed as though everyone said, "Yeah, no thanks, we're good," the moment Caitlyn wasn't playing.
The female Suns were averaging close to 2 million viewers when they were playing against Caitlyn Clark. These are the same female Suns that claim Caitlyn Clark is not the only draw in the WNBA. Sunday night against the Minnesota Lynx, 654,000 viewers.
It should come as no surprise that the WNBA was prepared to go to any lengths to win Caitlyn back after witnessing their fan base and bank accounts vanish along with her. The league suffered a severe financial and cultural blow, and their apology wasn't just about making amends for Caitlyn. It was also about keeping the league as a whole from collapsing because they knew they needed her and couldn't function without her. The commissioner had the defibrillator in hand in an attempt to shock the WNBA back into relevancy because the league was not just in crisis, but also on life support.